101.7 Light FM. That's REO Speedwagon there. Good morning. I am Dave. We're at 8:41 now. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. It is time to check in and find out what Wall Street's doing to us this morning and what's doing what to Wall Street as well, because we're all watching the hostilities over in Iran, and that's pretty much driving us whether we like it or not. On the phone, my friend Philip Statler from Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring. Philip, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. How you doing? Well, today I wish I could say as much about the markets. However, with the numbers that have hit, the oil continue to go up and being really volatile. We're seeing the Dow better than what it was early this morning, but it's getting close again. It was down 500 points early this morning. It's getting close to that again now. It had really kind of evened out earlier, so.
Well, it's one of those times where, financial issues, they can drive the market a little bit. We've got a little bit of financial news out of the government today, but, we were all getting optimistic there for a little while when we had oil down in the low 90s and actually dipped down below 90 a little bit off of the word that they were vomiting oil out of the strategic oil reserves worldwide, not just ours. But then the Iranians hit a Thailand, I think, flagged oil tanker yesterday. It's on fire in the Gulf, and nobody's going to go through the Straits of Hormuz, and it doesn't matter how many battleships you have guarding you, and that just is going to choke off oil again, and we were making fun of it yesterday. Lego announced a big price increase because the price of oil. That affects so many industries when you can't control the price of input, right?
It does, Dave, and we'll continue to see that. I was talking to somebody this morning, about diesel prices. They've skyrocketed, and that affects everything, right? Because everybody gets stuff trucked around, and when it runs from California to here or back and forth, they're running diesel, and diesel's up 20. I mean, I know it jumped 20 cents overnight.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get from point A to B, by jet, by train, by truck, you're using petroleum, and the prices for all of those businesses are going up on the input side. Yesterday, based on the news that came out of the Gulf, we actually had one green number, believe it or not. Dow was off by 290 points. That was 0.6% or so. Standard & Poor's was about as close to flat as you can get. It was only down $5.50. NASDAQ somehow managed to eke out a puny gain, but at the very least it was green ink. That just has to be off of just the periodic sifting and winnowing of the market and the fact that Oracle had a really good report, doesn't it?
Probably, because Oracle, they did have a good report, and so it's probably weighted pretty heavy in that NASDAQ, so that helped NASDAQ out yesterday.
Always helps to keep people in mind that the NASDAQ index we quote is another one of those price-weighted indexes like the Dow is, so one stock having a really good day can drive that index up. By and large, I think you have to call it a down day on Wall Street, and we start out the morning with a bunch of reports. One of them was a news item that I caught off of one of my tip sheets I didn't warn you about. Tariff revenue in the United States, now that we've ended up outlawing the Liberation Day tariffs, tariff revenue fell by $1 billion in February, and that's before any of those lawsuits wind their way through the courts as to whether or not we've got to give any of it back from last year. It's already down by $1 billion during the month of February. That can't help our budget situation one tiny little bit, can it?
No, it really can't. That's going to be tough to overcome, and I'm sure he's trying, but it's going to be a long road to hoe on that one. And until they get the TSA back up and running, the airports or spring break season, they're all just frustrating as all get out to try to travel right now in an airport.
Absolutely, it's an unsettled time. everywhere is unsettled except on the unemployment front. I mean, we're always worried about all the layoff announcements and everything, but first-time jobless claims reported this morning. Last week, 213,000 first-time jobless claims, which I always remind folks is on the low end of the normal range. Ditto this week, another 213,000. The employment market is staying amazingly resilient for the upset that we've got going on all fronts, from interest rates to war and peace and everything else.
No, they are, Dave, and that's, I guess, kind of good news in the whole picture of everything. Like to see that the jobs steady, and we're seeing that. But again, remember, we had a lot of announcements made early in the year or the end of last year about layoffs, and we talk about it all the time that it takes in some states 6 to 9 months before you can actually lay those people off. So, and by then they found something else. So there's still a lot of uncertainty in the job market. We just don't see it here.
Absolutely. The other bit of data dump that we got out of the government, we got some good news and some not so good news. Housing starts, they expected a decline of almost 5%, 4.6% in terms of new housing starts during the month. But what do we end up with? A 7.2% increase. That's got to give us some, pause for confidence, doesn't it?
It would help, but doesn't seem to be translating into the marketplace today.
You are just full of merry sunshine. And you said that was mostly because the building permits that show future plans for construction actually missed projections by a little bit, didn't they?
They did. And so what we're seeing is the permits issued in January is equating to housing starts or to starts in February. And so, permits are kind of a future number, and we're seeing those drop off a little bit. So not as many housing starts would be expected in March.
Absolutely. So we're looking at for every white horse, there's a black horse out there somewhere down the line. Gas price. I mentioned one of the things I'm starting to see more and more articles on my tip sheets about gas prices and oil prices. That gas prices go up like a rocket, down like a feather, and since they're still kind of going up like a horizontal rocket at this point in time, I don't think we're going to see any relief at the gas pump anytime soon, and that just adds more upset to it with the TSA people, half of them sicking out in the process and tying up the airports and building permits being off by a little bit. I got a sneaking hunch we're probably going to get a couple of months worth of building permit depression, aren't we?
Well, I probably will. I mean, I'm looking at the oil deal, and I'm reading articles now that say don't expect it to go down, expect it to go up. I mean, they're calling for $200 a barrel oil prices.
I gotta hope those are just people that believe Iran, because that's what Iran says their goal is to drive the price of oil up to $200 a barrel, and I put them somewhere pretty low on my credibility page. But while we're looking at $93 to $95 a barrel, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Before we get to reports, high-tech news down the line. Meta has announced that they're going to unveil 4 new custom artificial intelligence chips out of the Facebook Meta people. That can't be good news for our friends at NVIDIA, can it?
No, we'll have to see how those, how well do they perform, right? I mean, yes, they're coming out, but who are they coming from? Have they been used before? There's still a little uncertainty there, Dave.
Absolutely. Another tidbit out this morning that I found really intriguing. Netflix caught some grief on their quarterly report for all their program production costs and everything. Some folks thought they were spending too much money. They're buying a firm started by Ben Affleck, an AI firm, for $600 million in order to fake their actors from now on in. That's how they're going to fix their production charges. Just make the actors all artificial intelligence.
I guess if you don't have to pay them, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't let the computer do the work. Talking about things that actually have an impact today, we've got some quarterly reports out, and one of them, we've got one on every street corner. How did Dollar General do last quarter?
Dollar General, I guess they did okay, but here's the deal. they really underwhelmed when they gave their full year guidance.
Oh,
Yeah, the expectation was for them to be somewhere between $7.10 and $7.35 a share. Um, I'm sorry, that's what they think they're going to be. The expectation was $7.25. So, yeah, which is kind of in the middle. Same store sales, they expect like 2.2 to 2.7% growth. Not what everybody was expecting. They're trading down about 5.5% this morning.
I suppose the expectations are high in the discount marketplace simply on the grounds of the assumption that we've got a tight economy. Inflation, obviously, still a concern. I guess the analysts were expecting them to knock it out of the park with their projections simply on the ground they are an off price retailer.
Well, I think so, but I think we have to realize that with prices going up the way they have, yes, the higher middle income folks are maybe shopping that way now, so it's dropping down. But the people that are on really, really, really tight budgets, they're shopping there, but they're not buying as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if
So
you can't
that's,
even
I think
afford
that
Dollar
weighs on.
General, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Other
So,
indications this morning,
So I
yeah.
got Dick's Sporting Goods, and let's remember Dick's Sporting Goods bought Foot Locker, and that's putting some pressure on their numbers. Some they still did okay. They uh, they beat on both earnings and revenue, so that was good for them. They're heading up this morning, a little over 5.5%.
That's
So you gotta
good to
like
hear.
that. Bumble, I don't know. Maybe you've been out there trying to hit that dating range again, Dave, because they had a good quarter. They had stronger than expected EBITDA. Revenue was good for the quarter. They are trading up this morning 23%.
I guess you could always look, can't you?
That's right. So a little tidbit.
Uh-huh.
Um, him and hers, they didn't report, but there's a little tidbit there. Eli Lilly, one of their weight loss drugs, they came out with an open letter that said, hey, there may be some impurities. They've noticed about it some impurities in their compound version. And so that's helping him and hers health. They're trading up 4.5% this morning.
I think I saw a line yesterday or the day before too that they've kind of declared peace with Novo Nordisk for their version of their generic drug. So him and hers has had a couple of pretty good news days, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Yes, sir, they have.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Resetting
all
the
I got,
table for
Dave.
all righty, resetting the table for the morning. It was a modest off day yesterday. It's kind of a weird world when I say 289 down on the Dow is a modest day, but that's kind of the way the world is going. 45 minutes before we open today, how we doing?
Dave, we're heading towards a 1% decline in the Dow. It's down about 9 tenths right now, $425. S&P 500 is down about 7 tenths of a percent. That's $46. The NASDAQ 100 down between 6 and 7 tenths. That's $165. Russell 2000 down 1.3%. So definitely a red start to the day. Silver got a pop again today, up 2.3%. Gold up just a little over 0.2%. Like you said, though, oil heading up, nowhere near what its highs were earlier this morning, but still up 6.5% right now to $92.85 a barrel.
You and I were ruminating before we went on the air about the daily cycle on oil. It always seems to peak during the overnight hours for some reason. I've never really been clear as to why that happens. Looking overseas, nobody's happy. Bottom line, Asian rim market especially off in humor because the tanker that got hit in the Gulf of Gulf off Iran just happened to be a Thailand flagged tanker. So the average Asian rim index down the better part of a full percent. The mainland Chinese indexes down at the close about 0.5% on average. European community not particularly happy either. Everybody's in red ink. The average European index is down by about 0.2% halfway through the trading day over there. Getting my retirement together, I don't know where to go now. The overseas markets are red. We're red. I need advice. How do I find you to get my retirement on track?
They can give us a call at 863-382-0037. We can help walk them through that process of making sure they have everything the way it needs to be so that they have the retirement they can always dream of. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And online at newstalk730am.com. You and me tomorrow morning about the same time. Fair enough?
Fair enough, buddy. Have a great day.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler.
Folks, again, thank you for joining us today. Hope you're doing well. Join us again tomorrow, same time. Until then, have a great day.